We are live, and I'm just going to take 1 second here to get us all set up.
Okay.
Oh, there we are. Hi, Gina. How are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you, Jess?
I'm doing great. I'm
Good.
so glad to be here with you tonight. Welcome, Soulfire. So glad you could join us tonight. Tonight, it's myself and Gina. Molly is sad to have missed us, so know that let's send her a lot of healing energy. She's sad she couldn't make it. And tonight, Gina and I are going to talk about integrity and the power of truth. And what's fun is, as we were chatting before we got on here tonight, we realized how much integrity and truth we were already speaking in our personal lives. So that was really cool. But I always love working with Gina Millard. For those of you who haven't had the opportunity to meet Gina, she is a shamanic practitioner. And Gina, I'll let you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your work.
Well, absolutely. Actually, Jess and I and Molly met in a mediumship group some years ago, and that was a wonderful group, and we learned a lot. But the real basic work is shamanism. I'm a shamanic practitioner, healer, teacher. I just love that work, and so in relationship to mediumship in your group, all of that comes up for me, comes under the shamanic umbrella. I do a lot of work with the ancestors, those that have passed in your line that are further back than maybe the ones that you could name, if you drew a family tree, plus the more recently passed as well. But for those of you who don't know what shamanism is or are unfamiliar, just have an inkling, let me tell you where I come from with it. It's the knowing, it's the walking in truth that everything is energy, alive on some level, has a soul, has a spirit, and can communicate. And our job as shamanic practitioners, you've probably heard this a bunch of times, Jess, is to know how to listen, how to receive those messages. So sometimes a traditional medium gets their messages, strictly from our loved ones, or as our friend Gerda Lestock says, not so loved ones on the other side. My messages come through trees, come through the weather, come through the earth, come through people, alive and past. In shamanism, there is no there is no time or space. We're not limited by that. So the messages come from all over, and they're always the communication is always first with permission, but always on a soul to soul level. It's a beautiful practice. It sure makes life easier. It really does, because we come to work with the rhythms of nature rather than knocking our heads against them, which is easy for us to do sometimes. Sometimes we like to swear at the cold weather in the winter. There's healing properties in everything, and we recognize that. So yeah. The other piece is shamanism is not just a spiritual practice. It's not a religion. It's also a healing modality. So we work, we do healing work on behalf of ourselves and others with permission. Sometimes on behalf of the earth or animals. A lot of my practice involves animals. So it's a beautiful way of being. Yeah.
I love a lot of working with the trees, and through a lot of my own spiritual journeys, I have connected with trees and their souls. And I laid in between these two trees with my best friend, and we realized that they were showing themselves to us. Like, it was so amazing. And then hearing my nephew tell us, well, that tree's sad because he doesn't have leaves. So it's really incredible the different ways you can go connecting with nature and connecting with the shamanic healing. It's really been a huge piece in my life. So I'm really grateful for it. Yeah.
I'm glad we're part of the same tribe in some respect. Yeah, we speak the same language. And
Yeah.
the piece you just, not to take us off track, but the piece you just mentioned about your nephew, kids get it. Kids are so connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if people are watching who have children right now, it's just a beautiful way. It's a beautiful tool to get them. Yeah.
Yes, I love it. So we're talking about integrity and the power of truth. And I know we had some things that kind of flowed through earlier, and I bet they will come up as we talk today. But
Yeah.
I wanted to start out with the question, what does it mean to be in your truth? Let's just jump in, Gina.
Yeah, thanks for that. And then you're going to share that too. It's funny because in shamanism, in mediumship, in energy work of any kind, we all stand as the channel. We all have to be very present. We have to know what our triggers are. We have to know what our truth is. And, I think almost everybody, if you ask them, do you know what's true to you? Do you know what your truth is? Most people would say yes, they do. Or some people might think about it. But when you really think about some of the messages we've received over the course of our lifetime, or what we hold as true, through self-exploration, for really doing the personal work, sometimes we really have to uncover what our truth is. Sometimes we take on messages that were lovingly passed down from generations and parents, that serve them well, but don't necessarily serve us in this world well. So what does it mean to be in your truth, or what is your truth, is really going to that core piece, really standing as a channel, really knowing what is your authentic purpose, knowing when your ego steps in. And egos get a bad rap. Your ego is important. It's here to keep you safe. But sometimes our egos jump in and limit our potential because, oh, you can't do that. That's not safe. So to really know yourself, and that sometimes that's changing. Sometimes standing in your truth is effortless, and sometimes it's dang hard. Yeah.
I agree with that completely. And one thing you said that really connected for me about my truth are triggers. Because I'm starting to recognize them. I'm starting to recognize when I have something happening, I might be triggered, and that it's not necessarily true, So that's one thing, but it's a piece of my healing, is to step into my truth and let go of everybody else's expectation, and to let go of all the other things everybody else has told me I am and should be and should do. Like, this for me is kind of, where I am in finding that truth is, wait, what was impressed upon me as a child and said, this is the truth, and I took it.
Yeah.
I chose that. Is now I'm finding, oh, wait, that's not even mine. That's somebody else's that thought that was true. And I thought, well, it must be true because my mama told it to me. So letting go of not only others' expectations, but also I feel like in readings, you have to take what resonates with you. What's your truth? Because I may interpret something some way, but it means something else to you. So you have to really hold on to that. When I feel like when you're getting a reading, I honor and respect that. You tell me it's not the truth. Okay, well, let me move on, or let me check back in. And also things that are said to me about me, those aren't true all the time.
No.
Unless I choose for them to be. So it is that authentic self. And sometimes it's hard to step into that when others, or even ourselves, we have expectations like, well, this is the box I'm supposed to be in. And we're like, oh, wait, I don't fit in that box.
I'm just making a note or two here because you said so much, Jen, that I want to come back to.
Oh, please do.
That truth thing, I think all of us who have an energy practice of whatever kind it is, whether it's shamanism, whether it's Reiki, whether it's mediumship, all of it, in some respects, I always say, I think we're all doing the same work, but putting different words around it. But when we're all looking at those triggers, and we all do our personal work. And we think, okay, and I'm going like this because we work a medicine wheel, which is a whole nother discussion. But we confront things in our life. That's part of what our work is. And we work on that. You stand as an observer and you say, oh, okay, this is something I experienced. This was, whether it be trauma or just something I had to work through. And then we go along and we say, oh, I think I got this. And we come around the wheel again, we come around the circle, and we find out we're triggered in a different way at the same thing, with the same situation. And so for the truth is, I feel like it's just constantly peeling the layers of an onion. Okay. And we just keep on going. And, I guess at this point, I think of my good friend Carol Least, who says the work is relentless. It never stops. It never stops. And we keep signing up for more. Yeah.
I always love the reminder of the onion analogy. Like, it really is a perfect way to put it, because you really are peeling off the layers. And I can think of that in my body shedding the weight that I have taken on. And that's not for everybody in the same way. But for me, that is something that I've found is, I have to shed these things to help myself rid myself of the weight or the burden that I have put on. It's very interesting how that relates to all the different bodies, the mental, the physical, the energetic, like so many different bodies there.
I hope this isn't going too far off, but one of the things I think about, and I think we talked a little bit about, was, in shedding and facing those things. I have said this before. It's that when has it been in your lifetime, certainly not in my lifetime, and I'm older than you, way older than you, that all of humanity has been given the message to shelter in place, to pull in, to isolate. And in doing that, you're left with looking at yourself. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We're doing our best, and a lot of things are getting triggered. We call this a dismemberment in shamanism, when on a physical, emotional, or spiritual level, we're torn apart or fractured in some way. And, it's hard. It's really hard. It's really hard to just look right in the mirror, even no mirror, but just, sit with yourself, sit with your thoughts, and then let those that need to be shed fall away, because ultimately a dismemberment is a healing. But is it pretty in the middle of it? No, not at all.
Oh, it doesn't feel like it either.
I know. Yeah, but we're heading towards something big. We really are. I mean, I don't know if you can feel it. That is my truth. I know we are heading to something big. Yeah.
We are healing on a massive level, and I know that as well.
Yes.
I know that we are going into this beautiful age of connection in some way, and I don't know all of the truth about it, but I know that we are going into something bigger, and for us to find our truth is super important. And the hardest challenge I have is sitting with myself and my thoughts. One day I was like, I'm so bored. And I decided, like, I'm not going to turn on TV. I'm going to just be today. And I was like, oh, what time is it? It was the hardest thing I had to do.
Yeah, but we always say, when we do that, so many of us in the shamanic community will, have been challenged to sit in periods of silence. And boy, do you have resistance. Do we all have resistance at first to that? And if we can push through that, on the other side is the place that spirit speaks the loudest, where you're connected on a level that you can't be when you've got all this stuff going. It's beautiful.
And Molly even said to me last week, she was like, breathe into the resistance.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you for those wise words, Molly Maloney. So I was really grateful for that. Okay. What does it mean to be integrity or to be in alignment? I feel like we use the word like being aligned with yourself, and also being in integrity with yourself. For you, what does that mean?
I should have, when you told me what the topic was, that would have been, if I were psychic, that would have been a no-brainer to think about ahead of time. But
Ditto,
okay.
ditto.
Integrity, it's interesting that that's been an important word for my whole life, in raising my kids. And so what do I think of it as? For me, it's being in truth and balance. It's being in right relationship with others, with situations, being in right relationship with the earth. And, if you are going to be in right relationship with others, the place it has to be is being in right relationship with self. And that, think about what right relationship means: balance. If you're in a long-term relationship, sometimes on any given day, it might look a little imbalanced. But if you pull your lens back, kind of feel in your heart, in your truth, is there reciprocity that evens out over time? It's that constant, being in balance. It's that constant showing up in your truth. We all know in maybe certain circumstances, think about jobs we may have had. Are you showing up in your integrity, or is in some way, is it being compromised? Are we compromising it? Are we compromising our truth? Sometimes it may feel like we have to, until, you sit in that place and your truth just pushes it out. It's like you can't do it anymore. You can't fake it anymore. And that's what doing this work is about. The more you do it, I mean, this, I've known you for a while and I've seen you walk through it. It's like, okay, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. But, reality, we got to pay bills. We got to, buy food, all of that. And then you get to that point of resistance where you can't do it anymore because it's not your truth. It's not feeding your soul. So, the integrity piece is showing up in your truth, whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable.
Yeah. And it can be really uncomfortable when you first come to realize, wait, this isn't my truth anymore.
Right.
Like rediscovering, like it may have been at one point, but now it's not, because we've gone through and learned a lesson, or we've discovered something new about ourselves, or that's just where our path is headed. It is. I have walked through it many times, and it has come with a lesson every time, but balance, that was a great way to put that, is to the integrity, to be in balance with yourself. And when I think of alignment, like my mind automatically goes to the chakras. Like that's just my mind automatically goes there. When I think of alignment, I'm like, step on in, right? So that is very true. But the balance of, I feel like when I'm figuring out my balance, it's very true that I can't do it anymore. And is it fair to me, and is it fair to the other person? If we're talking relationship, am I in the integrity of doing enough for them too? Because there's a balance with that. So that's a really powerful thing to say. And I just want to say real quick to those of you out there, if you have questions that you want to ask, there will be a certain point where I'm going to look through the feed here, and I see many of you here, and I'll say hello to you guys soon. Well, we're saying hello now, but I'll do some shout outs here in a little bit when I get to the questions. But please, if you have questions for us, please go ahead and ask in the comments, and I'll be looking at those soon. So definitely, we love that. Okay, let's see what else. Molly was so great about questions. Yes, please go ahead.
There was something that you said, though. You said that, you're in relationships sometimes and you get to a point where it no longer serves, or it's no longer in your alignment or whatever. What I always go back to, for myself, and what I, have shared with others, is that happens to all of us. That's part of life, unless we're going to be stagnant and never change. Which is a whole, that's, we won't even go there. But as those changes happen, I think it's really important in my truth, not to beat myself up over it. Oh, I should have done something different or whatever. Because I think what we both recognize is that all those little things in life layer up as lessons, as you said. And we would never get where we are now for not having walked through those. So to honor that, even, we would do it in ceremony, that was what led me here. So with gratitude, I release you. Yeah. Or release the situation. If you can do it with gratitude, great. If you can't do it with gratitude, but you can do it with clarity, that's fine too. Yeah.
That's absolutely true. That's one thing that I have been able, probably more recently than way before, but finding the lesson in the things, which has allowed me to see the gratitude as well. And I've had some pretty traumatic things in my life happen, but I can look back and see how they have prepared me for my mediumship, for my energy work. Like everything happened to help me along this path and for the things coming in the future. So I'm grateful that I'm able to look back and see that. And that is sometimes really hard to see, but it helps you to really connect with that truth and that integrity,
And timing can be everything, in the midst of it. Sometimes we don't see it, my great teacher, Barbara Blecker, always says, look for the gift. And when you're in the middle of it, it's like, I don't see that gift.
You're in the right group for this.
But just faith. You're walking, walk in balance, keep walking. Oh, there's the gift. Okay. But sometimes in the middle of it, it doesn't, it may not be the safest thing to ask somebody, where's the gift, when they're really in the middle of the screen. So
be in the truth of letting that emotion flow.
Yeah.
I'm learning that, y'all.
Love it.
Okay, let's see what we've got here. Why is it important to be in your truth when doing energy work? Well, we've touched base on that a little bit, but that's, I feel like the most important. Like I prepare myself.
Yeah.
So that I move out. Please allow me to move out of the way. So I'm serving as a clear channel for spirit in whichever way they want.
Right. Because we're just we'll use the word medium or the intermediary, or in shamanism, we call it the hollow bone. So it's not about our stuff. It's about holding space for a client or for someone else, unless we're doing the work on behalf of ourselves. But it's about for me, it's about creating a field of energy by intention, by creating sacred space. And so, if a message comes through, are we okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a little bounce back. Okay. So when a message comes through, it's for, if this is what we're intending, the client or for the person you're reading for. It's not for us. So for us to try and interpret or put our head in it, that's not our job. Now that being said, if they get the message and they don't understand it, you can say, for me, that means X, Y, or Z, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's always, we've just got to be the channel. Physically, emotionally, and spiritually, it's all of us. It's the whole that has to be clear. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say sacred space, which I think is so important. And I didn't know why I needed to talk about that in our mediumship course today, but I have a mediumship group. And that was what I talked about today, was setting your space so that you're serving spirit. And I also love that sometimes you are doing that work for yourself.
Yes. Yeah. When I talk about creating sacred space, we do that by intention. Some people will use sage, some people will light a candle, but the sacred space, again, starts inside. You have to be the sacred space. That's where it starts. And then, you let it beam out, and you can use physical representations. We use altars. Some people may use, I don't know what. Some people are card readers, but usually there's something that says in the physical, this is sacred space by declaration and by intention. Do you need that? No, my feeling is no, it's all by intention.
Yeah, and usually mine's their intention as well, although I do use altars as well. So
here too.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, how do you know when you're in your truth? Like, how do you know Do you have different feelings that you get? Like for me, I probably avoid. I'm good. I'm real good at getting on my phone and avoiding things. What game I got today? How do you know when you're in your truth? And that doesn't mean that when I'm on my phone, I'm not in my truth, but I might be avoiding something, like something I don't want to do or something I don't want to face. Maybe I should be journaling or taking my bath to get through my process. But instead, I've zoned in on something,
Okay. And if there are people on today who are in circle, on a regular basis with me, just hold it, because we've been working on this for a long time. You feel it, or you feel the resistance. Sometimes it's easier to tell when you're not in your truth, because you get, there's a resistance. And I always, when I teach about this, I talk about Ginger Bowler, Dr. Ginger Bowler, who, has made a career out of studying medicine or energy. And she always talks about the line of light. And so what I do is, this is a lead up to how I know. I picture that horizontal line of light. If you're on watching us now, you can do that. Close your eyes and just picture a horizontal line of light. Just see it in your mind's eye. And Dr. Bowler tells us in this exercise that above the line of light is positive energy. Positive energy. Feel it. Feel what positive energy feels like. I call it vibrant energy. And then below the line of light is not so positive, is lower energy. Now, that doesn't mean if you've been diagnosed with an illness that you can't be above the line of light. This is total being, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. So where are we? We're above the line of light. And that's where we were born, and that's the energy we were created to hold, the divine's energy, the energy of spirit. And so then during the course of your day, you find yourself going down for whatever reason. And what is it you're attaching to that's pulling you down? Sometimes it can be an argument with a spouse. It can be, concern over what's happening in the world. When am I going back to work? All of that. And you might have watched the news. And then all of a sudden you're down here. Sometimes just recognizing what you're attaching to is enough to push you up here, because this is where the truth is. This is where you're vibrating in alignment, in integrity. And so to recognize that, and if you get used to that exercise, or like many of us have done in circle, committing to hold the energy of vibrant health, spiritual, emotional, and physical, just hold and maintain that vibration. Once you start to drop, you feel it. You're out of your truth, you feel it. When you're in a place of resistance, you feel it. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's a reflection. It's letting you know, okay, what is it you have to look at to get back in alignment, to get back in your truth, to get back in vibrant energy. Yeah. What
I was just going to say, vibrant health is something you've been talking about for a long time. And yes, and I remember talking about it at coffee with you one day. Sorry, I have to get situated again. And just knowing that we needed to hold that energy, and how interesting of how far along that came and how long we needed to hold that to prepare us for where we are now.
Yeah, for those of you who aren't part of that, haven't been part of that discussion, it was 1.5 years ago. And this is how shamanism works. For some reason, everyone was sending me pictures of lions. Lions were on my Facebook page. People were sending me cards. Lions, lions, lions. And so what we do is, instead of me going and calling Jessica and say, what does this mean? We journey. And that's a form of bodiless travel that we learn in a beginning shamanic journeying class. And we go to our spirit guides and ask, what's the story? What's with all the lions? And so what that message was a challenge to me to commit to holding the energy of vibrant health, physical, emotional, and spiritual, prosperity, and peace. And if I took it on, it was for 1 year. And so I was just, I was breathing in vibrant health, exhaling anything that didn't serve, and seeing it turn to light, because I'm not about littering. And just keeping that going and keeping that going. Well, little did I know, you know, I was in boot camp. I was training for a year and a half to be able to hold that vibration during a really challenging time. You know, and that got shared with lots of people. Lots of people committed to doing it. And so even though the year is up, why the heck would I stop? Why would I not hold that vibration? You know, and sometimes it's challenging. So, you know, sometimes it's heavier to hold because we're all tapped into the collective. You know, we know some of the energy that's out there right now. There's a lot of fear, rightly so. Yeah, there's a lot of anger.
We talked about that fear a little bit before. I mean, even, you know, walking into a store, there's so much fear, and because there's so many things that we have to think about. I know that I've had to learn how to hold that vibrant health, and sometimes spirit has even pushed me into it. I've had to do, they're like, nope, you're not going to eat that, Jess, you know, and had to change what I'm taking in to hold for myself and others vibrant health. So it's been very, very interesting over the past year as I discovered what that meant. You know, I had to sit with that myself and be like, yeah, I'm going to hold that. I wonder what that means to me. You know, like, who do I think that means for me? And discovering it, they were like, well, let me show you. Let me show you what that means.
Yeah.
And it's been beautiful and challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. And even now, when you think of that, holding vibrant physical health, you know, that means something different. You know, probably we all have different areas of concern and everything, but by and large, you know, we've been sheltering in place. I know I've walked by my refrigerator more times than I have probably in the last 20 years in the course of a day. You know, there's a mindless part of that. There's also just what it's taking. You mentioned the store, you know, what it takes to go to the store. I've heard this from several people. You know, you used to go to the store, the grocery store. We used to go to Kroger kind of on automatic pilot in some ways. Wasn't that nice? Because, you know, we went and we didn't think about it. Now we're putting on the mask and we're, you know, waiting for the cart to be cleaned, and we're navigating around this person, and oh, they're getting zucchini, so we have to wait over here. You know, it's so much more complicated. That's a level of stress on our physical bodies. Absolutely it is. So, you know, what for my body to be in it at this point, you know I need more water. I know I need more, you know, this is another thing I keep saying over and over, more nutrient-rich food. I need more sleep. If you have been sleeping, you know, napping well, maybe those who are homeschooling, that's an unfair question. But, you know, I think a lot of us have found ourselves, oh my God, I'm tired, you know, where we wouldn't have given it a thought before. So, you know, standing in our integrity, even our physical integrity, it is a different game now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have several comments on here. I know I'm looking at the comments, and we have a lot of people. I have one person that is knows people that you know, and asked if you're the one that does the drumming, which you do a lot of drumming in your shamanic work. And I believe that was Jill. And just want to give you some of these comments that I'm hearing, if you're okay with that. And then I have a couple other questions. But trauma is like a tree. This is from Linda Witt. Well, trauma is like a tree. Roots you in your truth so you can serve to the heavens. Soar. She corrected it. Soar so you can soar to the heavens. And I just thought that you would really appreciate that.
I do.
And
I
just
always appreciate. Yeah.
I know, just the wisdom. And you've got a lot of people. I had somebody on here say they got dismembered today. So, and healing is feeling is healing. Yeah. So lots of people here are really appreciating all that you've had to say so far, and starting to ask questions. So, good. So know that you've got lots of good feedback from also our circle in here, which is wonderful.
Good.
I like this question a lot. How can being out of your integrity or out of alignment, how can it affect, or not in your truth, how can it affect your mediumship, your energy work, and your life? Which we've touched like a little on it, life and relationships.
Let's talk about our relationship with spirit.
Okay,
because it's in mediumship and it's in shamanism, it's in all kinds of energy work. Think about that relationship. It's a sacred relationship. And when we're out of integrity with it, there are lots of people, there are mediums that have just, I don't want to be judgmental, but have not done the as ethically as others. Let's say the motivation for doing it. I think we all have to look at our motivation for wanting to do energy work, mediumship, all of it. But if it is not in the highest and best, if you are not supporting if you're doing no harm, that's got to be one of the first. I'm talking in circles here. Our creed is we do no harm. Even better than that, we want to create the sacred, a healing field for people. When we're out of integrity with that damages our relationship. We're out of alignment with our relationship with spirit. And, that's not a place I want to go, because the truth is spirit has a great way of equalizing that. The beauty of when you are getting a powerful message. You can feel it in your body, a powerful message. Or if you're just holding space and you are the conduit for healing, that that's a sacred place. It's easy to lose that. If you're not in integrity with spirit, you've broken a sacred trust. And so you're not going to be supported in your work. You're not going to have that same connection. It's not about us. Yeah. Yeah.
I always tell people, it's not about me. It's not about me. Now they will use things I've been through. Like I call that my vocabulary, the things I've been through, the things I've experienced. They'll help me get the message and use that piece of me, which is part of me being the channel. But if I break that trust or break that sacred space, how can they trust me to give the info that people need? And maybe I'm not getting all the info or the right info. And for me, I feel like it could affect that.
Yeah,
the actual truth from coming out. And part of that is keeping yourself in that vibrant health too.
Yeah.
Is, that has been important for me to feel good to do this energy work.
Yeah.
Is keeping myself healthy, because if I'm not healthy, and that might mean I have a migraine, or maybe whatever. If it's something where I feel like it's going to hinder my work in that way, I have to listen to that too,
Well, yeah. And I even give Molly a lot of credit for the self-care she had to take. She wasn't feeling good. And she said, I'm taking care of me. This is where I have to be. She's in her truth. She's in her alignment. That's, more power to her. And how many times I'm the queen of this. How many times have we pushed through when we really should have said, this isn't in my highest and best? Yeah. You never did that?
Yes, never. Or all the time, or maybe today.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's so interesting. This is what we're talking about. And that was so important for today. And it came up, it's a piece of what we're talking about. She spoke to her truth, and I love that. And Molly and I are good with each other. Like, we're very honest and open and are able to speak our truth to each other in that way. Like, girl, I can't, or, whatever it may be. So, and I feel like that's a great point. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Molly, go ahead.
Molly does good work. She really does. I have a lot of respect for her.
Molly does beautiful work.
Yeah.
She's just so gentle and loving, and she really is a clear channel in the work she does. I love it. really love it.
I was going to say something, and I'm glad it just didn't come flying out of my mouth, because what I also know is that she can kick. She can hold her own. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, she can.
Yeah.
But I really do love what you're saying about, because sometimes spirit will tell me you're going to need to reschedule your day. And I'm like, oh,
Well,
that's hard. But
Spirit just told us we had to reschedule our last 3 months.
yes,
You
yes,
know?
it did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look what it's brought us. Like, I know for me today, I recognized, I was like, you know what? My life is real chill and relaxed. This wasn't really a lot different on how I roll through my day. I get up, I relax, I do my thing, and then I go do my work.
Yeah.
And I didn't recognize before until now that, wait, I really do have things, easy, low key. I don't have to be so amped and stressed all the time. So Spirit has shown us how to slow down and how to figure out our truth, because the truth is you may not want to go to the grocery.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Bring a little humor here. Okay. I want to ask how integrity and truth apply directly to what you do.
Directly. And I said it. I mean, one, we do no harm. And, our relationship is with spirit. There is no more sacred relationship. Sacred relationship with the spirit within. And so, when we talk about shamanism being a modality, we start with self, with a lifelong excavation of, what we may be holding that doesn't serve in the form of thought forms, in the form of shadow, things that we are, holding deep inside, that we work our level best not to let anybody see. One of the biggest ones in the human race, that biggest shadow, is the thought that we are not enough. A lot of times we go searching for spirit or our true self, and we're looking out here when it's really in here. So to really honor that. And in a lot of ways we're taught, well, that's being conceited, or, you're self-centered. I just think that's a beautiful word, but it's got a bad rap.
It does.
So yeah, I mean, that's key to shamanism, is doing that exploration, so that you are standing in your truth, so that you uncover parts of your truth that you maybe didn't even know you had. And to look at your resistance. Where is it that you're pulling back, and then not to say, oh, that's bad, here's an opportunity for growth. Here's an opportunity to, shed, like you said, to get clarity around, so that we can just be more spirit-like, be more spirit-filled. Yeah.
And it is a beautiful process, and it is a challenging process.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for the transition it's brought in my life, because I feel like I can be more present with others. I agree so much on what you said about self-centered, because I feel like in readings, I have to tell people it is okay to be selfish, because you've got to take care of this first. It's not selfish in a negative way. So you're right, like, bad rep on saying those things, but we have to be able to know ourselves and to be in our truth, to discover that. That doesn't mean you're not doing things for others or helping out where you can. It's being like, what do I need? What do I need first? Like, when you get up in the morning, what do you need? Are you fueling your body? Are you giving yourself water? Do you need a break? Do you need the day off work? I mean, we probably all do, right? For those of you working, always need a day off work. But that may come up not because you don't want to go to work, but because Spirit is saying, are you sure you can do this today? Maybe today is the day you need a break. Yeah. So that is a piece of it, is really figuring out what you need.
Yeah. We get, we as people, as humans, get depleted easily. I think it happens, just throughout our lives, throughout a day or whatever. But that message that came through spirit, that holding the vibrant health, that was about putting my oxygen mask on first. That was about, if you are going to work energy wise or in any way, even in relationship, on behalf of others, if you're going to show up, you've got to be fully powered. You can't help anybody else if you're scraping yourself up off the floor. Yes, I know somebody out there is laughing at me saying that right now. But yeah, I mean, that's been the lesson, to charge up here in order, not for yourself, but also to be of service in the world. And if you're going to be
Absolutely.
in service, you got to be in your integrity.
Absolutely. I feel like that's just one of the most important things. So, all right, I'm going to jump into some questions from our viewers here, if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay, Daniel Perkins says, as an empath, diving deep into my truth is important. I've had false truths because I have absorbed others' truths. I have done a lot of work with this and continue to. Anything you can speak to assist with boundaries, truths, and as an empath?
Yeah. Great. You realize you're an empath. That's huge. I think those of us who are, can probably remember the day when oh, that's what it is. What I always go back to, even that line of light exercise, when you find yourself dipping, or, I don't know professionally or if you're a student or what the situation is, but you're in a good place. You walk into a room and all of a sudden you've got a headache. And so what's that about? And you've probably gotten to the point that I would assume, or I would hope, if you haven't, here it is. When you're in those places and in the need of boundaries, ask, is this mine? Is what I'm experiencing mine? If you already know it's not, use your energy field. Are you shrinking? Are you getting smaller? If you're not, stand tall. That vibrant health is a big deal because you stand differently when you're in vibrant health. And as an empath, boy, you need that as part of your boundary. That your personal power is your greatest protection. And so if you can yourself in that place, self-care, 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 that's gotten to be a trite word, but it's important. Trite couple of words. But yeah, you've got to fuel yourself. And being I think people are getting more and more empathic. I think we're tapped into the collective in a really big way now. So it's more important than ever. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think so too. And that's a lot of what I tell people too. Like, check if it's yours. And if it's not, you can even ask spirit, like, please release what's not mine.
Yeah.
And I like how,
in a kind and gentle way.
yes.
Yeah, because we've all been blown apart. We don't need that. Yeah.
Okay.
Molly, or Jess, I almost wish Molly was here for that question, because I think I always think of her as the queen of empath information. She does such a good job. So if you're not a regular on this, definitely come back when Molly's here and talk more. I'm sure she'll speak more on it.
She will, and we'll ask, even maybe she'll pop on with a video, but she might even just message back under your text there, Danielle.
Okay.
So that'd be good. Jessica Mortensen says, is this purely a mental spiritual exercise, or does eating right, having a healthy body, make staying above the line of light easier?
It's all part, your mind, body, spirit. It's all part of the same. Like I said, you might be diagnosed with something and still be floating above the line of light. But yes, and especially right now, that message keeps getting driven home to me, that to go through what we're going through, and I'm not just talking about the pandemic here. I'm talking about whatever is happening on a spiritual, energetic plane, that we've been set in place. Everything is harder to navigate when we are navigating it. But for me, it feels like this is, we are being recalibrated, for lack of a better word. We're in a place where we are transitioning. And a lot of where you're going is going to be where your thoughts take you. So are you concentrating? Are you feeding your body the nutrients that it really needs, the water that it needs. Are you eating mindfully? Bless your food, bless your water as you're taking it in, because it only fuels that vibrancy. So yes, we do need to concentrate on the physical more. It would be really easy to be almost sedentary through this, because nobody's going out. A lot of people are going out and walking, and some people are doing modified exercises. If you're used to going to a yoga studio, you're having to do it at home. There's not as much accountability, or there's not as much either, the community, even if it's online, is different. So, but yeah, through this period, absolutely, the food is important. Don't beat yourself up if you eat a Twinkie. But, overall, pulling the lens back, how are you doing with what your body needs? Because the body is going to be important to sustain this energetic transition we're moving through as well. Can't do it without your body. Yeah.
And that's something that I've been pushed into, not just with food allergies, but my body's been very particular about what I put into it and will respond. And I don't have a choice but to listen when it responds the way it responds, and it really has something. I actually spoke to Dana Skrodsky, and she was telling me, journey to your upper world teacher and your lower world. See who is helping you protect this, so that was a really, really great advice, journeying to that. Okay, let's see what we got next. So Jessica Mortensen says, I don't know if this question is appropriate. I'm trying very hard to understand how I feel connected to spirit. And there is an area of clarity that I need. This is an area of truth I am trying to discover. Is there an adversarial spirit, or is negativity just a consequence of adversary present in life? It's a great question. Because it's like, is spirit always light, or is there a negative aspect to this? I know for me, I ask to be in a high vibration for the highest and best good. Okay. So when I set my sacred space,
that's what you got.
Yeah.
Being spiritual, walking a shamanic path, walking a spiritual path, also means that you have to be energetically street smart. In my physical body, I am not going to go down, I use this all the time, on South 3rd Street, sit in the middle of the street naked and just say, I'm spiritual. That would not be pretty. Believe me, on any level, that would not be pretty. The same thing. Energetically, you've come into contact with people that don't feel as of high a vibration as others. When I think of what what you're referring to as a negative spirit, just like people, that spirit is likely a suffering being that needs healing in its own right. And what I always say in terms of death, that death is a process. So, we leave our physical body and we go through a period of, we can call it reconciliation, if we call it, but it takes a while. And, we're moving into spirit at that point. And so there are energies out there that are still in their process. And my job is to have compassion for them along the way. So, but there again, it's about setting boundaries. If you're running into energy that doesn't feel good, you get to say, stop. You just get to say, and you pay it absolutely no attention. You don't feed it. That's the biggest thing you can do.
And she did add on, she said, basically the concept of a devil. Is this a thing, or does negativity on a spiritual level come from within?
That's an interesting question. I don't go with the devil, to be honest with you. It's just not part of it's not part of my truth. I believe there are suffering beings, and and that's the degree to which they're suffering. I guess that's what one might encounter. But energetic boundaries, again, that's over and over and over, I explain it this way. If you go to the mall, nobody's gone to the mall in the last 3 months. But if you went to the mall at a regular time, you would encounter hundreds of people, but you wouldn't talk to them all. Pick and choose, spirit wise. If you don't have that connection, Jess offers classes. In a beginning shamanic journeying class, you meet your spirit guides, you travel to safe realms. This middle world is the only place where we run into anything like that, anything that is a suffering being, anything that you might consider dark. But you get to say, back off. Just like you would in somebody in the physical. If somebody's intruding on your space in the physical, no, I'm sorry. Yeah. And, we in the physical space have the ability to call the authorities. If you're connected to your spirit guides, you call those authorities. You call your guides, your protection. And yeah.
Let me see. I think we might have one more comment and then we're going to finish up. Okay. I want to just touch base on just the negative positive, because it's she's asking, am I competing with an adversary? And this may be something that we might need a little more time for after this.
You need a whole
yeah. And I will just say, like, as far as the negativity within, there are days I feel negative.
Sure.
There are days I feel not my best. Sure. And there are days I feel Lizzo coming in, right? She's coming in and I'm able to dance and go and feel really light. So it could be that those things can be affected by what we're experiencing. And also if we're healing trauma and, how we're feeling about that. But I would say that it's acknowledging what you feel is really important in this process. And that's going to help you to come into your truth and your alignment. Would you agree?
Yes. And I also hear her asking about the negativity she's engaging in. Was that not her words? I can't see. So
yes,
that's okay.
It came up there.
Working. Okay. Isn't that interesting?
How about that?
You have to be a participant in that. If what you're describing, you're in some way you're participating in it. There's a relationship there, just like there's a relationship with spirit. So you get to choose who and what energy you're going to participate in relationship with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
There's always some degree of complicity in that.
Yeah. And you may, Gina, after this, you might want to look through the comments if you feel like you want to look through an answer, and I'll do the same. Okay. I know Molly will as well. You'll be able to see them in the group on Facebook. And I want to thank you for being here with us tonight. I know we're running close to our time, but can you tell everybody where to find you?
Oh, yeah. Feel free to friend me on Facebook if you use that platform. My website is shamansfire.live. There's a lot of information on that. My office is on Frankfurt Avenue. When we get to reopen, I do session work there. And I also teach at the Creasy Mahan Nature Preserve. I don't know what the status of classes is right now. Everything's session work, healing work, all that is online for right now. But hopefully we'll be able to open probably in staggered ways. My sense is that classes, when we do get there, may be a little bit smaller, but definitely Facebook if that works for you. Shamansfire.live. All the information that you could possibly want and ways to contact me is there on that website.
And we've got Gina's love donation link if you feel called. We love that. If, that's up to you. And we're grateful for you, Gina. And thank you all for joining us. We had a lot of people joining us tonight, and we're so grateful for that. And I hope you all have a great evening.
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you. It takes a second.
You have a great smile. I love your smile.
It's just taking a second to disconnect. It's a little bit slower this evening. We may still be live. Who knows? If we are, hey, you guys, just waiting.
This is very interesting.
I've
never used this platform.
It's a great platform. And we have a lot of good comments on there. So grateful for you guys if you're still listening. But it should not. We are live, yeah.
Okay.